Good morning, students. One more session on Unit 5 of Grade 12 BST, that is Organizational Structure. Until then, we'll do a quick recap of whatever we have learned in the previous sessions. We learned about what is organizing and how organizing is the most important component, second important function of management. We saw the case study of Wipro. We also understood a school case library, a situation, a case study where you people are made in charge of a library. Then we slowly understood about the steps involved in organizing process. You know how the process works. And then we also understood about the importance of organization. How organizing is very, very important. Right? Now, as you remember, the steps in organization is referred to as process of organization, where I insisted you people to draw diagram also related to it. Well, let's see the case here. What is organization structure? Organization structure is nothing but it is an outcome of organizing process. It is an outcome of organizing process. What is organizing process? You people know the steps now. Because some entrepreneur or some CEO, some managing director has followed those steps, those organizing steps, the outcome of those organizing steps, because he kept things organized and systematic, because he had division of work, because he departmentalized, because there was segregation or allocation of duties and responsibilities, because there was clarity in working relationship, and organization structure comes out because of the process that is involved in organizing. Now, why this is required? If I have only 2 employees or 3 employees, forget about organizing at all. I can manage it. I can run it. But when my number of employees are more, or the work or the job load related to me is quite very high, in that case I need organizing structure. So this is a consequence of growth. One of the important features of organizing is it enables expansion and growth. So the last important point is the first point in the structure, right? So you can connect it. So due to the organizational growth, because you can no more handle 1 lakh people in one shot, you need people, you need to delegate, you need departments, you need specialization. In these situations, an organization structure comes into picture. Now the framework, what is this? An organizational structure. See, look at this. An organization structure is a clear-cut example of a framework. This is not working. Right. An organization structure is a clear-cut example of a framework. See how the framework is. Look at me how I am drawing the diagram. These frameworks, these various departments, sales department, purchase department, HR department, this is chocolate business, this is manufacturing business, some kind of interlinking, so many work and so many activities inside an organization. They are integrated and interrelated. Coordination is a thin line that is moving through all these processes. So when you observe, it is a framework within which managerial and operational activities are carried out. All the managerial activities. What is this structure? Inside this structure only the manager works. And each and every unit or component of the structure is interrelated. The managerial and operational efficiency comes out because of the structure. He cannot go beyond the structure. Right? Now there are 2 categories of organizational structure. One is your divisional structure and another one is your functional structure. For your syllabus, you have 2 structures, students. One is divisional, another one is functional. So in today's class, we will try to understand about the functional structure. We will take a live example. We will take the same case study of our class only. I will take one student's name and then we will do the case. Now let's, for example, understand about the functional structure. What is functional structure? Functional structure is nothing but grouping of jobs of similar nature under one function. Jobs that are of similar nature, they all come under one function. And organizing such a function under separate departments is referred to as organizational structure. I will give you one example, students, how structure comes into existence. Later we can compare the structure with whether it is functional or divisional, whatever it is. We will take the example of Upasana in our class. Okay? Upasana is the CEO of a business, she managing director. We'll assume Upasana to be the CEO or managing director of a business and she is planning to run a travel agency. Okay, travel agency business is not very easy, students. So what she did, she got in touch with, she recruited 3 people. Right, so those 3 people are coincidentally your class students only. Known people, old friends of her. So she made, Kanak is her best friend, you people know that. So Kanako, she said that you will be responsible for air flights. Right. Then she called up Sanchit. Sanchit also attended the interview, got selected. Sanchit was made responsible for bus, train and cab services booking. Right. And then there is Rishi. Rishi was made responsible for hotels and accommodation. We will assume like that. Right. So let's look into this example. Upasana runs a travel agency business. Okay. So she has 4 or 5 businesses. Yeah. She's just like Ambani. She has so many businesses. Right. She runs a textile business. She runs a chocolate business. She runs a dairy farm. She also has a travel agency business. So under the travel agency business, she keeps Kanak responsible. She holds Kanak. She gives the responsibility to Kanak that she has supposed to take care about the A-flight bookings of her customers. Then Sanchit takes up the charge of, in all areas air flight facility is not available. So thereby when you get down from the airport, the cab, the bus, the train facility to the local tourist spot, all those things will be taken care by Sanchit. Timing has to match up. And then Rishi is responsible for hotels and accommodation, all those stuff related to food, everything is, Rishi takes the charge. Now all the 3 are supposed to report to Upasana only, right? What she has done here is an example of structure. Don't think about whether it is divisional structure or functional structure. What Upasana has done right now is referred to as structure only. She has delegated the work and assigned a task, and she has clearly created a work relationship. The authority and responsibility is delegated. She has created a hierarchy. She is the supreme-most power in the organization because she is the founder of the organization. Probably she is the CEO or MD, and these people are working under her. They are subordinate to her. They take instructions from her and they report to her. Understood the thing? So this is an example of a structure. Now we'll try, because we started to learn about the organizational structure, we will furthermore dig to understand about the functional structure. What is this functional structure? It says grouping of jobs of similar nature. Now I told you Upasana is having a travel agency, she is having chocolate business, she is having a textile business, she is into so many different real estate also she is doing. Now when Upasana is doing so many businesses, we will consider the travel agency business only. So now the managing director or CEO is a topmost authority, and under this she has various departments. Right, we will take example that she has a sales department, she has a purchase department, she has a HR department, human resource that is, and she also has a admin department. In our school also we have the children, commerce department, maths department, social department, admin department, operational department, drivers and logistics department, transport department. Yes or no? You people know, you are aware of it. So various departments are there, but all of them, all these departments are only for the travel agency business. They are not for the other businesses. This fellow sales department only travel agency related sales, only purchase travel agency related, only HR travel agency related HR, admin only travel agency related. So all those jobs that are of similar nature, because they are all related to this travel. Suppose we take, she is doing chocolate business. Okay, she is also doing chocolate. Now chocolate is another function. All sales related to chocolate, all purchase related to chocolate, all HR related to chocolate, all admin department related to chocolate. Comes under one category, one function. Got it? That such a kind of structure is referred to as functional structure. It is the most simplest structure that we have. See here, different departments. हर एक डिपार्टमेंट का एक डिपार्टमेंट हेड होगा, सेल्स HR मीन सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट हेड, परचेज डिपार्टमेंट हेड, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स हेड and admin head. All will be reporting to CEO. Ultimate authority, vice president sales, vice president purchase, vice president human resource, vice president admin. We will assume she has only 4 departments for now. She may have 10 departments also under her, depending upon the volume of customers that she has or the kind of business that she does. Right? So here all the things related to chocolate come under one function. This is an example of functional structure. Understood? Clear? Now we'll try to understand the merits related to such a structure. Merits are also referred to as advantages. In your textbook, maybe they have given advantages. What are all the merits related to or advantages advantages of functional structure. What are all the advantages? The very first advantage that I see is occupational specialization. See, I told you importance of organizing. All those things you can bring it here. What is specialization? When you repeatedly do a particular task again and again and again and again, you become a master of it. That is referred to as specialization. Right. Now here Kanak is an expert in air tickets. Sanchit is an expert in bus landways, bus, road and all those things. And Rishi specializes in providing hotel accommodations. Right. So he is taking care of that area. So when there is division of work, there is specialization and they are masters in it and they are coordinating with each other. So thereby occupational specialization, because everybody is not getting the full work. They are getting only a small portion of it. Imagine Kanak doing all the three tasks. She is only responsible for air ticket. She is only responsible for bus and train. She is only responsible for cab. She is also responsible for hotel. It will be overloading. When the number of customers are more, she may get confused. It may create stress. She may not bring the best of her abilities. Maybe she is tired of. There is clear division of work, so it enables her to obtain occupational specialization. In the tip of the tongue, she can say that this flight is at this time and this is the concession that they will give. Because she is constantly doing the same thing. Right? So she can get the best of the deal. Right? Occupational specialization. The second important benefit that it comes is it promotes control and coordination. Because it is small, control and coordination go hand in hand. Because she doesn't have too much things to control about. Everyone is allotted a certain work and there is a lack of ambiguity, there is no confusion, there is no ambiguity, there is clarity, there is a clear working relationship, establishment of clear working relationship. Thereby, it enables a better control and coordination. The third important benefit is managerial and operational efficiency. As I told you, every department has an managerial and operational efficiency. As I told you, every department will have an ultimate head of the department. You may call him as vice president of the department or manager of the department or general manager of HR, whatever designation you are giving, but there will be an ultimate head for the department, head of the department. Such a kind of person, it will be able to focus. I don't have to think about so many things. I have been allotted the sales department. Let me focus on how to improve the performance of employees related to sales. I will focus only on sales. It increases my managerial and operational efficiency. Is it not? If I had to take care of sales, HR, admin, so many departments put together at one head, it becomes very, very difficult. It becomes very, very difficult. Right? Overloading of work. Then comes, because I have operational efficiency, there is minimal duplication of effort. There is minimal duplication of effort. The people need not do again and again. When Kanak is taking care of flights, why will Sanchit book flight for customers? When he clearly knows that Kanak is doing it, there will be double booking. That's not required. You will waste resources. When there is clarity and in allocation of work, there is minimal duplication of effort. There is no duplication of effort at all. Right? And then comes another important point, last important benefit is, it ensures that all the functions get due attention. All the functions get due attention. Yes, students. When this is a possibility. See, just imagine Upasana is doing only travel agency business. So she is completely focused on this. But what if Upasana is doing travel agency, chocolate, textile, just like Ambani's and ITC and big businesses. They have diversification. Different categories of products they deal with. So here comes the question. All functions are getting equal benefit because all functions have separate structure of their own. Each and every function has got a separate structure of its own. There is proper organizing there. Thereby it enables each and every one is given proper attention. Right? Each and like every subject of yours has been allotted with a certain set of students and a teacher responsible for it. So there is proper allocation. Same way, each and every, even though she is running chocolate, even though she is running textile, none of that is neglected. I am not putting a manager responsible for so many things. I have separate managers for each and every section. I have separate managers for each and every head. Delegation of work is adequate and proper. So there is no confusion, there is no ambiguity. These are all related to the advantages. Now let's talk about the disadvantages related to functional structure. So I'm just changing this, making it as disadvantages. You must have guessed it by now. All the disadvantages are related to over specialization. Got it? Something that leads to excess. Anything that is in too much may cause danger here. Anything that is in too much. Now let's look into the disadvantages. Less emphasis on overall organizational goals. See, why are you people, why is an employee working in an organization? For the profit of the organization. मैं इतना ज़्यादा specialize and specializing too much on the sales and specializing too much on the HR that I'm only focused on my team and I don't mind creating a negative impact about the other team. मेरे को मेरा team अच्छा रहना. I should be giving I should be receiving the best team of the year award. I should always be in the limelight. That kind of egocentric thing happens in a functional structure because I am more focused about my team. मुझे जो 50 people are working under my team, I will be more focused about that only. I will not show any kind of care or concern towards other employees or other teams. So that's a very big disadvantage. Always remember the overall goal of the organization is more important. If there is internal conflict between you people, then it is not going to do any good for the organization. Alright? Then first one is less emphasis. Then it leads to problems of, if I focus too much on my department only, problems of coordination. Coordination, that simply means cooperation also, understanding the other departments, mutually working for each other's benefit. That doesn't happen. Coordination, lacking of coordination will come because I'm more centric towards and more focused towards my job, my task only. Right? Then comes another disadvantage, conflict of interest. I will tell you an example of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest amongst departments. What happens with conflict of interest is, suppose imagine that there is a sales department and there is a production department. दो department है. Sales department will always focus on customer. And customer is a king. He will give you stupid orders. Customer may come to you and say that you manufacture this product in such a fashion. Say for example, the customer tells that textile business ka le lenge. He tells that you manufacture textile, blue color background में white color polka dot डाल के उसके ऊपर some design is telling. So that sales department will say yes, this is what customer likes. So he goes and gives a review of customer to production department. He says, see, if you are producing in such a manner only customers are liking. I am handling the customers, I deal with the customer, I understand the pulse of customer. So kindly you change your method of manufacturing. The old method is not working, it is not trendy at all. So we have to change. So adaptation to change. Again here comes the conflict. हमारे को तो problem है ना, दूसरा department suggestion देगा अपन नहीं लेंगे. We will not take it. We have a problem with it because we are egocentric. I am the head of production department. You are after all sales department. Always children, in any organization you go, there will be a fight like this. People believe that HR department, mainly I'll tell you, marketing department, production department and the marketing, production and the HR department. तीनों लोग लड़ते रहते. There has not been a single meeting when I attended during my corporate life where the HR department head does not blame the marketing or the production department. Production department marketing के बारे में बुरा बोलेगा, marketing production के बारे में बुरा बोलेगा. It is not going to do any good for the organization. You have to work together as a team. But since you are over focused upon your team only, your 50 members only, you want to be told as a king of that team, you will always focus in that area only. Such a kind of extra focus makes you more egocentric. It creates a lot of conflict. See, when sales department is giving a suggestion to production, he is refusing the suggestion. He says that I know everything about production, don't teach me how to produce goods. Got? Conflict arised? Ultimately, who is going to suffer? Upasana is going to suffer. Because she gave power to them. She delegated the work, she trusted them, and these two fellows are having a clash of interest. Right? Always it happens because why? Because this marketing team will get paid more. Usually marketing department is more paid. Production departments always feel that they work more than any other department. HR department always, आप दोनों का appraisal मेरे ऊपर है. So this clash conflict is very common under functional structure, which can be avoided, right? Most important thing, inflexibility. No, this is related to the training. See, one of the advantages that I forgot is giving training becomes very easy. Training of the employee. In the advantage, I forgot that, children. I have to give training to Kanak only for air tickets. I have to train Sanchit only for bus and train booking. I have to give training to Rishi only for hotel accommodation. Thereby, I am limiting my expense related to training and I am making them specialized in that. But think about that person. Now, Kanak does not know anything beyond air flight. Even though she worked in a travel agency, she is not having much knowledge about any other area of travel agency. Because whatever time she was working there, she was more focused upon only one area. She is trained only in a specific area. Thereby, it leads to inflexibility. Clearly understood? So, one of the advantages that I forgot was giving training is very easy. At the same time, because you are limiting your training scope, what happens? The employee becomes very inflexible. You cannot switch the employee to any other department as easily. Again, you have to give training. Right, so overall training is never given under a functional structure because we consider it to be an unnecessary expense. Now we'll talk about the suitability of such a kind of organization. Where is this organization more suitable? This organization is suitable for a large structure. As I told you, organizational structure is an outcome of organizational process. Right, so organizational structure, since it is an outcome of organizational process, such a structure is suitable only for large. If you have only 2 or 3 people under you, no need of any structure. If you have more number of employees, large organization with so many departments under you, only in such a case is a functional structure suitable. So functional structure is suitable for large organizations with minimum diversification of products, with large product base, more customers, large unit. So for big structures, functional organizational structure is more suitable. For a very small sole proprietor or a very 10 employees or 20 employees only, you don't need a very big structure at all. You don't need a functional structure. Clear? I hope I have made sense. I will do a quick recap, children. I'll do a quick recap of whatever we learned. We understood that organizational structure is an outcome of organizational process. It is a framework within which operational and managerial efficiency is there. It is also the structure that decides the performance of the organization. And we have started to understand that there are 2 categories of structure. One is a functional structure, another one is a divisional structure. Today we are understanding about the functional structure. Functional structure means grouping of all similar activities of similar nature comes under one function, and such a function is organized under various departments. Right? Chocolate manufacturing, all things related to chocolate coming under one function. Travel agency, all things related to travel agency coming under one function. Such a kind of function, functional division, is referred to as functional structure. Now there are certain merits and demerits. Merits is occupational specialization, better control and coordination, easy training to the employees, which I forgot during that time, and then there are certain benefits of avoiding of duplication of work. All these are merits related to functional structure. When we talk about the demerits, they are less emphasis on the overall organizational growth. They are more emphasis on their function only. They are more emphasis on their departments only. So the problems of coordination may automatically arise. Again, there is conflict of interest. Sales manager does not want, production manager does not want to listen to sales manager's suggestion. There is conflict of interest, ego problem between them. Right? There is inflexibility because you trained the employee only for one specific area. He may lack an understanding about the other area. Now, one of the reasons of this conflict of interest also, you can say that I specialized in production only. So, I definitely have not put myself into the shoes of sales department. And I never try to understand them because lack of knowledge, ignorance. I am inflexible also because I trained in this, I specialize in this, I am a perfect in this area. I am not having much knowledge about adequate information about the other area. That is also a very reason that there can be a clash of interest. Now where it is suitable for a large organizational structure with large number of employees. Right? Thank you and have a fantastic day. Please post your doubts.